Hey, it's Devin, and this is the Youngbloods. What is going on, everybody? Another day, more emails, more stuff to talk about, cool things to see. Actually, nothing to see, just me. So, nothing cool to see. But yeah, got some cool stuff. I did a thing. I got an email, and the email a little bit bothered me because, well, I got several emails. I skimmed through the emails a little bit today, and I got several of them. A couple of them kind of bothered me. And then when I was reading one of the emails, I came across another video that ties pretty much to the email. It's kind of what the email was talking about. And not gonna lie, this one bothered me a little bit, but we'll get to that one in a little bit. So I guess we can get a few of these out of the way before we get into some of these hard hitters, because some of these hard hitters are they definitely make you think. So there's that. So yeah, that being said, okay, here we go. Hey Devin, my husband is a great guy, and we have a solid marriage, but I've always had trouble being vulnerable. I've been taught to be strong, independent, and not rely on anyone emotionally, but sometimes I feel like that's holding me back from really connecting with him. I want to let him in and be more open, but I'm scared that if I show him too much emotion, he'll see me as a weak or unstable. How do I learn to be vulnerable in my marriage without feeling like I'm losing the strong, independent woman that I've worked hard to become? Okay, here's the thing. He knows you're emotional. First of all, you may think you're putting up a good block. You may think that you're doing the things that he can't tell that you're being emotional, but he knows you're being emotional. He knows that you're probably more emotional than you show. And it doesn't bother him. I don't think it bothers men to know that their wives are emotional. It's kind of what we put in for. It's kind of like when you get married, you kind of have this idea and this of knowing that for the most part, the men are going to be the emotionless type. And they shouldn't be. They should be open to talking. They should be doing all those things. But on the other side, they know that their wives are going to be a little bit more emotional than they are, right? So there's that. Now, that being said, emotions are fine. I mean, everybody's got emotions. You have emotions. Everybody, if you're numb to emotion, you're the one that has the problem. Now, I get it. You want to be the strong and independent woman that you've worked hard to become. You're not going to lose your independence. You're not going to lose your strength just by bottling up your emotions and just sitting there and going, "Oh, I can't do this. This is horrible." You're going to be fine. So, I mean, I get what you're trying to do, and I get what you have portrayed, but you guys have been married. He knows more about you than you think he knows. I mean, especially if you guys have been married for a while, he knows more about you than you think he knows. At least he should. So, be vulnerable around him. I mean, your husband, he probably wants you to be vulnerable because he wants to, men like to know that we're needed. And if you're vulnerable, men like to know that you can be vulnerable around them, and then they can be wanted and needed in that same process. So the only thing you can do is just sit back, relax, just like I've always said, and have a conversation. Tell them how you feel, because if you're carrying a large weight on you like this, it's going to destroy you. It's going to make you feel like crap. And you deserve to not feel like crap. So yeah, there's that. Yeah. This is a good one. This is one of my skimmed over today. It says, "Hey Devin, it's okay. Okay, I've got a weird problem that none of my friends really get. I'm a teenager, okay, but I'm obsessed with what people call dad rock. Bands like Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, the Rolling Stones, and all those classic rock groups from way before I was born." Whew, wow. I'm feeling this one. I love the music, the lyrics, the guitar solos, all of it. It's like nothing today even comes close. I agree. That is true. But here's the thing. My friends don't get it at all. They're all into the latest pop and rap songs, and when they find out I listen to old man music, they totally make fun of me. They don't understand why I'm not into that stuff that's trending right now. It's like they think there's something wrong with me for liking music that for dads. I know I shouldn't feel guilty for liking what I like, but sometimes it's hard when everyone else is into something different. Am I weird for loving dad rock? Should I just try to fit in and listen to whatever everyone else likes, or do I stick to what makes me happy? Okay, I'm going to say this. If you like that kind of music and the fact that you actually know who some of these bands are, I'm quite impressed. And part of that is because obviously I listen to dad rock, right? Don't be offended by them. It is not your fault that your friends have horrible taste in music. I mean, I listen to everything, but I'm with you. I can't get into the newer stuff that much. I mean, there are some good talent out there, right? There are some good people who can actually, perform well and do good music, things like that. But come on. Dad rock is where it lies. You gotta listen to the dad rock. If you don't listen to the dad rock, you don't know what music is. I have not found one single music group out there that can do the things that dad rock has done for society. There's no band. There's no artist. The only artist that is come close to anything as of late would be what's that group? It is. They literally sound like Led Zeppelin. Well, at least their first album did. I don't know. None of their second album did. It's not the same way. Greta Van Fleet. That's the only group that I know of that has come close to even getting anything like dad rock. But that's it. I mean, it's kind of weird to call this dad rock. It's just real rock music. You can't rock music we've lost rock music. Basically, the 90s was the end of it. The 90s was the downward trend of amazing music, because once we started getting to the 2000s, it started changing a little bit. We have a few bands, and then we got to 2010s, started changing more. Then we got to 2020s, and now here we are. It's like, really? So stick to your guns. You got great taste in music. Forget about your friends. Your friends are being dumb. If they don't want to listen to good music, that's not your fault. At least you have some taste and you know what real music is all about. So go enjoy your concerts. Go take them to some concerts and let them listen to how amazing it is. If they can't appreciate amazing music, you don't need those kind of friends. That's the kind of negativity that people do not need in their life. So I say embrace it and forget about them, because they're being dumb. Hey, Devin, a few months ago, something happened that changed everything in my life. There was a home invasion. Okay. Some guy broke into our house in the middle of the night while my wife and kids were sleeping. I didn't want to, I did not want, I did what I thought I had to do to protect my family. I shot and killed him. And honestly, I don't feel guilty about it. The way I see it, the guy had made his choice to break into our home, and made a choice I made a choice to defend the people I love. I'd do it all over again if I had to. But here's where things get complicated. My wife thinks I should feel some kind of guilt or remorse for taking a life, even though it was justified. She's been really shaken up by the whole thing and can't understand how I can be so calm about it. To keep the peace in our marriage, I've been pretending to feel guilty, but it's wearing me down. I don't regret what I did. Do one. I don't think I ever will. But I'm afraid that if I tell her the truth, that I'm not torn up about it, she'll think I'm some kind of a monster, and I don't know what to do. I don't know what that would be in how our relationship would be. How do I deal with this? Is it wrong to fake guilt to keep my marriage together, or should I be honest about how I really feel, even if it risks pushing her further away? Okay, there's a lot to unpack here. First of all, the fact that you protected your family. Okay, here's the thing. When it comes to protecting your family, as a father, you did the right thing. As a American citizen, you did the right thing. You have the right to bear arms. I don't care what state you are in our country. If someone comes into your home, their life is forfeit. If they come to your home and they're there to rob you or hurt you, you don't know what they were going to do. I don't, all the details. So I kind of looked you up a little bit when I got your email. The reality is obviously they came and took the body away. You were in the right. You protected your family. This was a thing that had to be done. You are 100% justified in doing this. Now, I'm going to say this. I don't think I would feel guilty either. He came into your home. You had prepared for this. You did the things that you were supposed to do. You protected your family at all costs. Now, that being said, you have to understand, I am pro-gun. I am pro-family. I am pro-protecting those that are around me. There was a video that went out a few months ago, where it showed all these moms, and then in the video it said, "Would you kill for your child?" And almost every person in that video, they were like, "Kill? I don't know." No, I mean, they were literally questioning themselves on would they ever do that. I will do it for your kid. If someone comes after your kid and I see it, your kid's safe. I'm going to say it. So what you did by protecting just your family alone, you did the right thing. It is very sad that the man that lost his life. And that's the reality. It is super sad that a man lost his life, but you did the right thing. Now, what I don't think is the right thing, I don't think it's right to lie to your wife. She wants you to feel some remorse. I mean, it would be, I don't know where I would be in that book if I had to take a life. I don't know if I'd feel guilt. Especially in this situation, I think I would probably feel the same way, because they came to you, they came to potentially hurt you, hurt your family, hurt whatever's going on. They don't deserve anything in your house. I don't know. Some people are like, well, it's just a TV. Well, you worked hard for that. They're like, it's just some food. They're not breaking in to get some food. I don't care what any politician is their agenda they're trying to push. They're not coming to your house to steal food. They're coming to the house to do some type of nefarious thing. Hurt you, hurt your kids, take your stuff, hurt your dog, whatever. They came to do that. I do think that your wife probably needs, if she's still struggling with this, because this is traumatic, I do think that maybe your wife needs to go get some counseling, and you could probably go with her. And that would make her feel more comfortable. If they ask you if you feel guilty or not, you can say, no, I don't. Because you did what's right. Don't shortchange yourself. Don't look at this as something that was that you should feel remorse for, because honestly, you shouldn't. You should not feel remorse for this. It would be a horrible thing to do what you did, but you had to do it. It's about protection. It's about taking care of your family. It's about taking care of the things that are around you. Honestly, if I was not home and only my kids were, I'd expect them to do the same thing. Seriously. I have no doubts in my mind that my boys would have done the same thing. I have no doubt in my mind that my wife or even my daughters would have done the same thing. Because the right thing is always going to be the right thing. And if someone's coming into your home, whether it's to steal or to hurt, they don't belong there. They have no right to be there. So don't feel bad. But I would say don't try to pretend to have guilt when you don't have guilt. I mean, you're sending mixed signals to your wife, and I'm a firm believer in telling the truth, no matter what, even if it hurts you. And if this is see, the thing is, this is not a deal killer for a marriage. I don't think this is a deal killer at all, because you protected them. What would have happened if you didn't do anything? Would they have done something to her? Probably. Would they have done something to your kids? Probably. So to not feel any remorse, I don't think that's a bad deal. I think that's it's just how you're coping with it. You had prepared for this. You knew if something like this was to ever happen, you instituted your plan and you followed through. The idiot that lost his life, that's on him. He's talking to God about it. Simple as that. Talk to your wife. If you need to go to counseling for her, go with her, support her, because it sounds like she's still traumatized. Because honestly, someone came into your home and they didn't belong there. So you'll be okay. Don't stress. But yeah, just talk to your wife. Give her a hug. Tell her you love her. Those are all the things that need to be done. But don't lie to her. I don't believe you should do that. Okay. Hey, Devin. I've been feeling a lot of anxiety lately, and it's almost because of the it's mostly because of the upcoming election. The thought of Donald Trump possibly getting reelected is stressing me out more than I expected. I'm not even sure why it's hitting me so hard. Maybe it's because of everything that happened during the last term. Or maybe it's the constant news cycle and political tension that makes it feel like the world could spiral out of control again. But honestly, it's more than just political stuff. He stands for everything I disagree with. The way he treats people, the way he talks, his attitude towards anyone who doesn't agree with him. The thought of him leading the country again makes me feel like we're heading towards disaster. I'm not sure how I'll be able to handle it if he gets elected again. I try to stay informed, but the more I read, the worse my anxiety gets. I'm losing sleep, snapping at my family, and even avoiding conversations with friends who support him because I don't know how to handle it calmly. Part of me feels like I'm overreacting, but another part of me is genuinely scared for the future if he gets back in office. How do I deal with this anxiety without losing my mind, especially when it feels like I have no control over what happens? Am I alone in feeling this way? You're about to get some more anxiety. Here's the thing. Okay. You're freaking out over Donald Trump. Okay. Sure, he can be very abrupt. So let's take this as it is. Okay. I know where I stand politically. I know what I'm going to do when it comes to the election. I know how I feel. I mean, obviously the previous email was about guns. I'll tell you this. I'm not sure where you live. I can get an idea. I'm not sure where I see where you stand politically. I want you to look at your bank account and tell me that your life is better. For the past 4 years, has your life been better? Because I can tell you that I have made less money for myself in the past 4 years than I did with the previous 4 years. And let's subtract that out. Let's go back for the past 16 years and look at it. When did we have, were we better off 16 years ago than we are now? take Trump completely out of the whole thing. Are we better off? If we are that you are better off now, then tell me what you're doing. Tell me what's changed. Because honestly, it's not getting better. You know, I look at stuff like the inflation, and that's stressful. I think about feeding my kids. I think about, you know, making sure all the bills are covered. And I think about, you know, just take, you know, inflation in general. I know you're probably going to say it. And I'm going to tell you, do your research. Stop reading the crap news and read everything that actually is legit. Okay. I'll say it. You can't trust Fox News. You can't trust CNN. You have to go find legitimate, real people who are actually reporting the news. So here's the thing. When I can go to the grocery store and I can buy one bag of groceries and it costs me $50 for just basics, milk, eggs, bread, maybe a couple other things, you know, some meat and that type of stuff, and I spend $50, and that's literally maybe 2 days worth of food if I'm lucky. I'm not any better off. I think your anxiety is built up for the wrong reason. Sure, Donald Trump may not be a good guy. He may not say the nicest things out there. But here's my major point. I don't see anyone trying to go after Kamala or Biden. I don't see how no one's attacking them. Let that sink in. Seems like when you're being attacked, it's usually because you're doing something that people, when you're being attacked, it's not because you're doing something that's wrong. Most of the time nowadays, it's because you're doing something that's right. I would tell you, go in, deep dive into everything that's being said, and look where they're getting it from. A lot of the things that you say, a lot of things that Kamala is saying that is political, that people fawn over and go after like crazy, a lot of that came from Trump. And if you look at her record of the things that she's done, well, she actually, so even Biden himself has said that she has been an instrument for the past 4 years of getting things to pass and getting things done. She has had her hands in everything that has gone on in the past 4 years. So that tells me everything I need to know. So yes, I'm probably adding to your anxiety here. But you got to use some common sense, which I know that's the one thing that this country highly lacks is common sense. Sure, Donald Trump is not my number one pick, but the thing is, we have screwed ourselves over in this country so bad because we've pretended for so long that we have a two-party system. And because of that, we say, okay, well, you got to pick blue or red. I would advise you to go into every politician that you follow and that you believe in. Look at their stance on how it fits into the actual Constitution. If it doesn't follow that, they're the wrong people. Ronald Reagan said it right. Now, if not more so than it was when he was in office, he said the greatest threat to our country, I think he said democracy, but I think the greatest threat to our country right now is communism, or the communists. I firmly believe that's the same problem we have right now, but it's magnified because they are in office and doing their thing. If you truly believe in freedom, if you want to get away from high taxes, if you live in California and you're tired of all the, how crime is perfectly legal, it's legal. I can go to anywhere in California and I can steal up to $1,000, $999 worth of stuff, and I won't get prosecuted. I will not go to jail. So that being said, if I need you to rethink what you're doing, and I'm sorry if I'm causing more anxiety. Nothing I can do about it. This was probably a bait email just to see where I am, but that's the reality. You got to do what's right, and you got to do the things that will take care of your family. And honestly, a good portion of that is not doing what the direction you want to go. You're listening to the wrong people. You're doing the things that are going to cause you more pain than help you with the pain. There you go. All right, this is one I was talking about earlier. Okay. Hey, Devin, I've been feeling really frustrated with the state of the media lately, and it's starting to feel like there's no real journalism left. It seems like every news outlet has some kind of agenda, and it's hard to trust anything I read or watch anymore. Whether it's TV, newspapers, when you got newspapers, I know I get one newspaper about every week, but TV, newspapers, or online, everything seems to be biased and spun to fit certain narratives. I don't even know what the truth is half the time. I found myself spending hours digging through different sources, trying to piece together what's actually happening in the world. And honestly, I'm exhausted. I just want straightforward, unbiased news, but it feels impossible to find. Everyone has a slant, and it's like the truth gets buried underneath the opinions and clickbait headlines. When did journalism stop being about facts and started becoming more about sensationalism and pushing agendas? How am I supposed to stay informed when it feels like I have to become my own detective just to figure out what is real? Okay. So the thing is, let me pull this video up. You're 100% correct. The news is slanted and it's gone the wrong direction. It doesn't help us. Everybody's got an agenda. It's about opinions and not about facts. Every news station does this. And so what's happened is facts don't tell us anymore. Facts don't sell advertisers. What sells advertisement is the sex. What sells advertisements is the sensationalism stuff that you're talking about. It's pushing the agendas. It's when people have crazy outlandish opinions, that's what people want. When it comes to real journalism, well, here, I'll play this video. This says it pretty much everything.
CIA drew up plans to kidnap and to assassinate me within the Ecuadorian embassy in London and authorized going after my European colleagues, subjecting us to theft, hacking attacks, and the planting of false information. My wife and my infant son were also targeted. A CIA asset was permanently assigned to track my wife, and instructions were given to obtain DNA from my 6-month-old son's nappy. The criminalization of news-gathering activities is a threat to investigative journalism everywhere. I was formally convicted by a foreign power for asking for, receiving, and publishing truthful information about that power while I was in Europe. Journalists should not be prosecuted for doing their jobs. Journalism is not a crime. It is a pillar of a free and informed society.
So you have Julian Assange right here. He talks about how he was prosecuted, how he was put down, how he was the CIA even went in and, hey, how are you doing? Even went in and went after to collect DNA from his child's diaper. Okay. So the problem that you're having with that you're struggling with is seeing that there's no real good media out there. It's because there's not. What he did was he published things that were true about the people that came after him, and he was prosecuted because of it. How is that? That should never ever happen. Shouldn't happen in this country. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but the problem that I have is during the Obama administration where he made it where it was perfectly legal for our country and the news to feed us propaganda. Now, they were doing it a little bit before, but he's like, okay, we're just going to make it okay. We should never be propagandized at all. And so what your problem is you can't find a good, reliable source for the news. Now, I'm going to say this, and people are going to condemn me for this like crazy. If you want reliable news, honestly, where I get mine is on Twitter. And yes, you have it on both sides, but at least it's getting fact-checked on both sides. It's not just, if someone wants to do something sensational and and say some crazy stuff, they can. It's no problem. But you have to do what's right. When it comes to when it comes to media, we have to find good sources. We have to talk about the good things. We have to be able to say the good things. We have to do the good things. We got to do all of that. It's frustrating, and I get it. And I wish that, I wish we were in a different place. But I think what it's going to come down to is people actually have to step in and do their job. If you want to be a journalist, be a journalist. Say the things that are uncomfortable. Do the things that are uncomfortable. Say the stuff that may get you in trouble, because you shouldn't get in trouble. It should be simple as just doing the right thing. The right thing, I've always said, the right thing is always going to be the right thing. And you just got to be able to make sure that you are doing it for the right reasons, and you do the right thing even though it may hurt you. People don't do that anymore. People only do what's convenient for them. People only do what makes them feel comfortable. There's got to be, at what point in our society and what point in our life do we sit back and say, you know what, I've got to make sure everything's done right, even if it's going to hurt me. People are terrified of doing the right thing. I don't understand why they are. If you do the right thing, everything works out. Everything does. Jordan Peterson said, if you're worried about your life, start by telling the truth. Simple as that. If you're worried about how things are going, start by telling the truth. Life's hard, and it shouldn't be as hard as we make it. But I think part of the problem is we as I'd say in our country, we lack accountability. If we do something wrong, we try to push it off on someone else's as someone else's fault. If we do something, we just don't have to take responsibility for our own actions. We have to. It's very important that we do that. So yeah. So yeah, this is all hard. Life is hard. We have to make hard decisions in life, and we got to stick to them. And when we follow through with those decisions, then in the end, it will work out. But life is hard. So yeah. Anyway. All right. What else we got? Hey, Devin. My wife and I love our kids. But when it comes to discipline, we're on a total different page. She's more of a talk it out type, and I believe in firmer boundaries and consequences. It's starting to cause tension because the kids are noticing that we don't agree, and they're starting to play us against each other. I want us to be a united front, but I don't know how to bring this up without making her feel like I'm criticizing her parenting. How do I get us on the same page when it comes to discipline without creating more conflict? Okay. Raising kids is hard. Disciplining kids is hard. And it's only harder when you're not on the same page. Obviously, you know this. You know that you have to be on the same page when it comes to raising your kids. And when it comes to disciplining, if you don't discipline your kids, and I'm not saying beat your kids. I do not say that. I'm saying if you don't discipline your kids, you're going to do nothing but raise a bunch of a-holes. That's the reality. Because your children need to know boundaries. They need to see boundaries. They need to feel the boundaries. Children need restraints in their lives to make them to give them what they need. Because if you just let your kids do whatever they want, obviously you're going to have major problems. Now, as far as getting you and your wife on the same page, that's a difficult one. That's a conversation you probably should have had a long time ago. And if you haven't had that conversation and you can't have that conversation, then what you got to do, you need to have that conversation. And so now this can stem from a lot of things. Most parents these days, most people these days, they always say, I don't want to turn into my parents, so I'm not going to parent how my parents parented. That's the truth. Now, if you don't want to parent like your parents did, don't do it. It's a choice. But you still need to still needs to be some type of discipline. Now, honestly, talking it out does not solve every problem. But spanking does not always solve the problems either. All my children are different. I have one child, that if he has the biggest fear of missing out, and when it came to disciplining him, it was just a matter of sending him to his room, make him stay in the room, close the door. He would yell, he would scream, "What did I do? What did I do?" The whole victim mentality, and it would just destroy him just by putting him in his room. Now, just by putting him in his room, what happens is he missed out on a lot of things. He couldn't go places. He couldn't watch TV. He couldn't do it. Even though there was a TV in his room, I mean, he actually punched a TV once and broke it. But that's another story for another day. And he got disciplined for that one as well. But the reality is once it clicked in him, and even if I brought him down here to talk on this, he would tell you that when he realized that if he just listened, which is the hardest part when it comes to raising a kid, is getting them to listen. But when he started to listen and he started to say, hey, you know what? If I just take accountability, I'll be okay. His life changed tremendously. Now, one thing I am blessed with, for the most part, my wife and I are on the same page when it comes to disciplining our kids. If you and your wife are definitely not on the same page, your children will use you guys against each other. And you have to be a united front. And I remember growing up, and I would tell my parents, and I'd ask my parents one thing, my mom one thing, and she'd say, "Go ask your father." And then I would go ask my dad, and he would say, "Go ask your mom." Now every parent does that, but what I would start doing is I'd start going to my dad and say, "Hey, mom said I can do this if you say it's okay." And he would say, "Okay, well, if mom says it's okay, then you say okay." And then I'd go ask my mom, and then she'd say, "Go talk to your dad." And I'll say, "I already did." And he said, "If you're good with it, I can go. I can do it." So that's a way around that kids always do this. The kids will always try to figure out one way or another to get what they want, right? And getting what you want is, we don't want to ever have to go without something or be sad because we didn't get to do something. So that's why when it comes to having kids, you raise them right and you treat them the same way. But when I say treat them the same way, meaning your discipline is equal across the board and you have to be united. So how do you and your wife get on the same page? So that is the very hard part. For you and your wife to get on the same page, you guys got to talk about it. And you guys got to come to a consensus of the best way to discipline your children. And you have to understand, I don't know how many kids you have. Each child will be different, and the one call fix will not fix the whole thing. There's nothing wrong with being firm. Honestly, being firm with your kids, it sets that premise and sets the boundaries up so they know what's going on and they know what they have to look forward to, right? They know what they have to deal with. Now, you just got to talk it out. If you haven't talked it out and you're not talking to your wife about it, you're going to have the same problems forever. You have to sit down and have this discussion. This is a discussion thing that you have to talk to them about, and it's got to be done. You're going to discount your marriage if you don't talk about it. And you're going to hurt your marriage if you don't talk about it, because you have to do it. Raising kids is one of the hardest things you'll ever have to do. but in the end, it's worth it. Sometimes your kids are not going to like you. Sometimes your kids are not going to like the things that you say. But the reality is, if you're still doing it and you're doing it for the right reason and you're saying the right things, it doesn't matter what they think. What matters is to them to know that you're still going to stand behind with what you say. Your kids don't have to. You're not your kid's best friend. You're their parent, and being the parent sucks sometimes because you want your kids to like you. But that's not a requirement for having kids. There's no book that says by raising kids, your children will always like you. Just doesn't work that way. But your wife does need to like you, and you need to like your wife. And so to fix that, you guys need to talk it out. You have to discuss it. If you don't discuss it, again, you're screwing yourself over. You have to be on the same page. Hey, Devin. I'm in a long-term relationship, and while I love my partner, I've always struggled with expressing my needs. Whenever I ask for something, whether it's more time together, emotional support, or even just a little help around the house, I feel like I'm being too much. Like I ask for more than I deserve. I don't want to seem as needy or high maintenance, but I also don't want to keep bottling everything up. Why is it so hard for women to express what they need in relationships without feeling guilty? How do I ask for what I need without feeling like I'm asking for too much? Okay. Where are these women coming from? Just so you know, it's kind of, the reality is it is okay to ask for things. It is okay to express your feelings, and you should. You need to. It is. If you're in a long-term relationship, you got to do it. You got to talk about these things. Spending more time together, there's nothing wrong with spending more time together. That's how you keep a marriage or a relationship together, is by spending time. If you don't spend time together, you're going to lose. That relationship is going to dwindle and fall apart. The only thing that keeps a relationship going is time. Literally is time. You can spend all the time at work you want, and what's going to happen is that becomes your new relationship. And if you're at work all the time and that becomes your new relationship, you're going to forget about what you have at the house. And even though it's still in the back of your mind, you're like, well, this is okay. This is good too, because I'm doing it for the right reason. You got to talk about it. If you need some more emotional support, you got to talk about it. If you need things done around the house, ask. Talk about it. When I see things that need to be done around the house, so I'm too picky when it comes to this. I have this thought that I don't think my wife and I should ever have to do everything in this house. We have young adult children. We have teenagers in this house. And because we have young adult children and teenagers in this house, and they live here, they can help out. Now, I can do the dishes. I can take out the trash. I can vacuum. I can do all these things. I am very well capable of doing every one of these things. But that being said, does that mean I need to? No, it doesn't. It doesn't mean I need to. Doesn't mean I have to. Doesn't mean I should. It just means that, I have the ability. And so when it comes to the chores at our house, I require my kids to do the chores. And then my wife and I, we fill in the gaps when they forget sometimes or whatever. But they should, as young adults, they should remember that, hey, I got to take out the trash. Hey, look, the dishes are done. Let me unload those things. Those are the things that anyone can do. And so by having my kids involved in doing things, it allows me to spend more time with my wife. It allows us to do the things that we know that we need to do to work for us together. It is important. These are the things that most people don't do. These are the things that have to be done. You're not asking more than you deserve, because I guarantee if you're in a long-term relationship, they want to spend time with you, and if you're open with them, they'll be open with you. It goes both ways. Relationships go both ways. And if you can't express your feelings to your partner, you're going to be left out. You're not going to be able to. You're not going to have what you want. You're going to have the things that you need, and you're going to be left needing. And then you're going to have some guilt there because you're like, oh well, should I do this? You'll always regret the things that you never asked for, and not for the things you. But you're always going to regret the things that you never asked for. You'll regret the things that you'll. Yeah. I've never regretted anything when I've asked for it. If I didn't get it, I didn't get it. But if you don't ask, you don't get. Simple as that. Why make a relationship harder than it has to be? Just do what you're going to do and make it work. Simple. Hey, Devin, my wife and I are expecting our first child, and while I'm excited, I'm also terrified. I didn't have the best example of a father growing up. Mine wasn't really around, and I'm scared that I won't know what to do. I want to be the dad that my kid deserves, but I'm worried I'll mess it up and somehow repeat the mistake of the past. Is it normal to feel afraid before becoming a dad? How do I get past the fear and just focus on being there for my child? First of all, this is perfectly normal. And I can tell you, I every time we had a child, I felt the same way. It's like, okay, when we had our first baby, I was terrified. Was I going to be a good dad? Was I going to be there for him? Was I going to be there for? Then we had our second child. Same thing. I was terrified. And we had a girl first, and we had a boy second. And we were going, man, I need to be the best example I can be because I need to help raise up a great, good young man. I need to raise up independent, incredible young women. It's terrifying. And do I have the ability to do so? I've never done this. There's no book that you can read all the books in the world when it comes to being a parent. And I can tell you, they can give you good ideas, but it's not going to be the same. Until you do it, you don't know. So the reality is when it comes to this, just let time fill in the gap. Be there when you need to be there. Sometimes you can't because life gets in the way and you still have to provide for your family. But if you can be there for as much as you can, they're not going to be mad at you. Do the things. If your dad was not there for you, then all you got to do is just be there for this kid. Seriously, it's that simple. Listen to your wife because she's smart. And mother's intuition is amazing. They know what's up. And same as father's intuition. There's been moments when I knew my kids were in trouble and I told my wife and we got in the car and we went to go find them and we found them and they were in trouble because they needed help. That literally is real. That happens. That is not fake. That is not something made up. That is legitimate, real stuff that goes on. So yeah, be terrified. It's perfectly okay. There's nothing wrong with being terrified. Be your dad. Tell dumb jokes. They're going to come. Trust me. Make themselves. I promise you. And it's epic. Listen to the dad music, all that stuff. It'll be okay. Hey, Devin. I've always wanted a career and a family, but now I'm pregnant. I'm feeling the judgment from all sides. Some people think I'm crazy for wanting to go back to work after having a baby, while others act like I'm betraying my career if I take too much time off. It feels like no matter what I do, I can't win. Why is it that women are still judged for trying to balance work and family, as if we have to choose between the two? How do I make peace with my own decisions when everyone seems to have an opinion on what I should do? Simple. Forget about everybody's opinion. It's not about them. Doesn't matter what anybody says. Okay. My mother-in-law used to give us advice all the time. How we should raise our kids, what the things we should do, everything. She'd give us marriage advice, and she couldn't keep a marriage together. Seriously. My wife and now, well, I remember the day that my wife and I were married longer than all my mother-in-law's marriages combined. And I used that opportunity and told her, guess what? I need you to stop trying to give us marriage advice, because we've been together longer than all yours combined, and that's been one marriage. And no, having multiples does not make you an expert. If anything, having multiple marriages makes you an expert on how to not be married versus how to stay married. So when it comes to people giving you advice on what you should do, whether you should go to work or stay at home with your kid or whatever, know what you got to do? Forget them. Their opinions don't matter. Their opinions are irrelevant, because you're the one that's raising, you're the one that's going to be going to work, you're the one that's going to be shuffling these things and getting it to work how you want. Now, here's the thing. Don't feel guilty if you don't go back to work. All the people that say, well, yeah, you're losing your career. If you choose to stay home with your child, that's awesome. Seriously, anyone that says that, they their focus is not on the right things. Family matter things. So don't let all these naysayers control your life. Don't let all these naysayers tell you how you should be, what you should do, and everything. Now, on the other side, you decide to go back to work. Doesn't matter what all the stay-at-home moms say. You're going to do this. You're ruining your children's life. I'll say it this way. Raising a kid and having a family is very expensive. Now, is it better to have someone at home? Sure, it is. And even if you just went off on the entire financial side, sure, you may need double incomes because how expensive our world is right now. You may need two incomes. You may need to have that ability to have all those bills covered. But I will tell you, childcare is not cheap. And if you think that you're going to be able to keep 90% of your money, I think you'll be lucky if you can keep 50% of your income. Depends on what you currently do in a career. It's not going to be that easy. If you could keep 60%, that'd be amazing. But I think you're probably going to keep I'm going to easily guess 25 to 30% at the most out of your income from you working will be yours to keep at the most. I know people that literally takes almost that entire income to pay for the child care of that baby and that child while they go to work. So you're essentially working for free. Now, if you can work from home and shuffle the two, that is a beautiful thing, because then you got the best of both worlds, right? But I will say, no matter what you do, no matter what you decide, take plenty of maternity leave, spend time with your child, get your routine back to normal, get yourself back to normal, because childbirth ain't easy. My wife she had all 5 of our children, and I will tell you, the body is pretty resilient. It will, it heals itself. It takes care of things. It does its job correctly. But you need to take some time to go jump back into it immediately. That's where I would say don't do that. That would be very, very difficult. It would just, it would almost destroy you. My personal opinion. No matter what, just follow through with what you feel like is right, because you're the parent. It doesn't matter what other people say. Forget about everybody's opinions. Now, if their opinions fall along the lines of what you believe and it's good advice, sure, that can apply. But again, you're going to when you have kids, you're going to have a million. Everybody's going to give you advice on the right thing and the wrong thing to do. Simple as that. It doesn't make their advice invalid. It just means what you got to look at is you're the parent. You know what's right. You follow what you feel is right and go that route. My wife would occasionally call my mom and ask her for advice. And usually that would happen when our kids were sick. And so we would, my mom, my dad raised 7 kids. I'm number 6 of 7 kids. So they saw all the sickness. They saw all the things that could potentially happen. And that's when we'd call my mom and say, hey, this is what we feel. And my mom was like, okay, this is what's going on. And she'd tell us. And we learned from it, because the longer you're a parent, the more you learn these things, and the more you learn, the better you are. And you just got it all under, you got it under your hat at that point. When our oldest daughter, when any of our kids decide to have kids, we will be there for the advice for them when they ask for it, but not going to give it to them unless they ask for it. Unless it's something that's important that we feel like needs to be said. But even then, it's just something we said. It's not necessarily things that they have to do. That's all that is. Advice is just advice. It's not a thing that you have to do. So don't take it as if someone tells you something, that's the way it's got to be done. Because again, you're an adult. You know how to do these things. Just be the parent that you know you're going to become. That's all that it comes down to. Hey, Devin, I've been married for almost 10 years, and while my wife and I love each other, I've been feeling appreciated lately. I work hard, but it's like no one notices. I know she's busy too, but sometimes I feel like I'm just going through the motions, doing all the right things, but not getting any recognition for it. I don't want to start a fight or seem like I'm fishing for compliments, but I also don't want to feel invisible. How do I ask for more appreciation in my marriage without making it sound like I'm asking for too much? Okay, as a man that's been married for 23 years, I can tell you I understand the invisible part. I also understand the feeling of just being a roommate in the home. That happens, especially when you're raising kids. A parent's focus tends to fall on the kids. It's the thing that matters the most at the moment. So I can tell you, I understand what it's like to feel neglected. I understand what it's like to not getting any recognition. I can fix anything. Anything. I can do anything that needs to be done. I could build a dang house if I wanted to. And my wife knows this. But do I get the recognition when I do that? Not always. Would it be nice to get the recognition? Absolutely. The problem they're struggling with is the problem most men fall into. They outperform for their spouses and their girlfriends and things like that, and then women get so used to the fact that they can do all these things that it tend to be taken for granted, right? So you tend to be taken for granted because you can do anything and it's always getting done. If the toilet gets clogged, you go clog the toilet. If the sink gets backed up, you go fix the sink. If the sheetrock on the ceiling because you had a roof leak falls down and you fix it and it's done, and it's no big deal. That all gets taken care of, and you don't get the recognition because what happens is people get so used to you doing everything. It's kind of like if your wife cooked dinner every night. But she probably has done that a good bit. If you guys, you're like me and my wife, we cook together all the time. But if your wife did all of that every night, cooked you dinner, brought you food, like we're doing the traditional wife thing. If she did all of that and you didn't say thank you once over time, you just tend to expect it to happen. So, because things are going on and you guys have been together for 10 years, both of you guys have become complacent. Both you guys are just sitting on the sidelines of watching each other go through the motions of getting things done. And you don't want to be on the sidelines. You want recognition because you're in this together. And you want what you're saying is you want your wife to say, hey, you did a good job. Thank you. That's all you're looking for. And that's the same thing that you're looking for. Say, after being married for a while, you tend to let yourself go. That's part of because you're getting comfortable, very comfortable with each other. And there's nothing wrong with getting comfortable. But what you need to do, to get out of that comfort zone in many cases, you need to ask are you going on dates with your spouse, for one? If you're not, you need to redo that. You need to start doing that often. And honestly, some of those dates, go get your wife a beautiful dress, one that you know she would love. Seriously, buy her a dress. And you come in the house with all dressed up yourself. Give her the dress. Hey, I got you something. We've got a dinner date tonight at a nice restaurant, and I have to dress up. That starts changing everything. You become less complacent because you're doing more actions towards each other. And yes, I know life gets hard. Marriage is hard. You guys are always busy. You've been working forever, but out of 10 years of marriage, you guys are in the spot where if you don't keep on moving forward and you don't communicate and you don't talk, your marriage will fall apart. Seriously, a lot of marriages don't make it past 10. A lot of marriages don't make it to where I'm at 23. That 7 year itch actually is a thing. It really is. And so You guys need to talk. You need to communicate. And honestly, go sit down and say, here's how I feel. Tell her how you feel. Don't make it an argument. That's because that's dumb. Why would you want to make it an argument? But go talk to her and say, hey, here's what's going on. Here's how I feel. Here's what I would like to do. I would like to mix things up a little bit, and I want to spend more time with each other. That's simple. That's the easy stuff. If you did that, man, I promise you the recognition. Now, here's the other thing. Give recognition to receive recognition. Your wife, tell her what you like about it. Don't just say, hey, good dinner. Tell her what you liked about the dinner. Say, you know what? I really enjoyed the pasta tonight. What did you do differently that you normally don't do? And then she may say something I've done. Say, wow, it was just so good. Seriously, make a compliment there, because if you make that compliment, then what happens is she'll start noticing things, and then she'll start changing some things in herself to make it better for you. Women want to perform for their spouse. They do. They want the recognition just like you want the recognition. If you put in the time, they will put in the time. It's that simple. Seriously, it just work. Everything takes work. It's all effort. I mean, the thing is, the psychology and everything of a relationship is the coolest thing in the world. I mean, so think about it. 10 years ago, probably a little bit longer, you guys looked at each other and said, hey, I like this person. I think I want to be with this person forever. Think about that. Isn't that strange? The fact that we go from, we see somebody and like, oh, I think I could be with you. I'm going to pick you. And then they picked you in return, and you're like, cool, now we're together. It's kind of one world. People think. To know that two people can love each other and stay with each other and support each other and have kids with each other and raise those kids and then kids move out of the house. And kids move out of the house, they still do things together. Holy crap. That's not awesome. That is literally awesome. That is one of the coolest things in the world. And the fact that we do this in society is really amazing. So yeah, tell her. Have that conversation. Tell her what you'd like to do. And you guys have been together for 10 years. Hey, we've been together for 10 years. How awesome is that? It's beautiful. It's one of the coolest things the person could do. And for longer. My parents were married for 65 years before my mom passed. 65 years. That is a love story that has got to be told. I know my dad, he talked about how he got married and all this other stuff. They eloped and things like that. And it lasted 65 years. And did it have some rocky moments? Sure. Was it easy? No. They had hard moments, they had easy moments, amazing moments. And I will tell you, my dad said he would do it all over again. And at this point, he's kind of just waiting time to be with my mom together. Sad for me, because no kid ever wants to see their parents pass. But that's kind of the plan. Our job is to take care of our parents when that's it's not the parents' job to take care of their kids. Their kids, no parent should ever have to bury their child. So let's get you guys past that 10-year mark. Let's get you guys to the 65-year mark like my parents. That is a goal. That's my goal. That's going to be epic. To have my wife and I 65-year mark. Oh my gosh. That would be simply amazing. It's doable. It's possible. That's my goal. That should be your goal. Talk to your wife. Tell her what you want to do. Create some expectations. The thing is, when it comes to marriage and relationships and things like that, the things that will destroy it are the unknown, how do I always say this? It is the unknown, uncommunicated expectations. If you don't make the expectations real and you don't tell your spouse what you want and what you see that you want to do, they'll never know. And then that means that's your fault. If you don't communicate it, it's all your fault. And if you're like me, handling to be, but wouldn't it be nice to lower your hand on doing some things? Can my wife cook dinner for me every night? Sure. Can I cook dinner for my wife every night? Can I cook my own dinner every night? Yeah. But why would I want to? We do it together. Some nights I'll cook. Some nights she cooks. Most nights we do it together. We work together. Are we independent? Absolutely. Do I require my wife to be there for me to hand over foot? No, I do not. So think about it this way. If you could get things done a little bit easier because you have an extra set of hands, why wouldn't you want that? There's nothing, you don't lose your independent vital in what you do, especially if it's you're not going to lose your independence. He knows you're independent. He knows that's probably why he's with you. Because men do like strong, independent women. We do, because we know that one, they're not going to take crap from anybody. Two, we know that they're going to be that lioness who's going to beat the snot of somebody that's going to hurt us, just like they know that we're going to beat the snot of somebody that tries to hurt them. Can my wife fight her own fights? Absolutely. Do I need to let her do that? No. For her, she needs me to get in. Yes. The point is, I think we look at independence as being it's all about me and it's not about this. Independence means that you have the ability to do things by yourself, but wisdom is knowing that you don't have to. That's the reality. Knowing that you don't have to do everything by yourself, knowing that you have someone right there by you, to your ride or die, that's going to be there to help you get through everything. How epic is that? So take that into account, add it, figure it out, have the conversation, listen to them. That's all you got to do. Just involve them. Can you open that jar of pickles? Sure. Ask him. Little things like that. I'm telling you, you'll see it'll do wonders for y'all's relationship. It's simple things. Hey, Devin. My wife is going through a really tough time right now. Work stress, family stress, you name it. It leans on me a lot, and I've always been. But lately, I've been feeling the weight of everything. I'm not sure how much longer I can put it all together. The problem is, I don't burn her with my own struggles when she's already dealing so much. How do I balance being supportive without losing myself in this? Is there a way to ask for help without letting her down when she needs me the most? Here's the thing. You guys are married for a reason. You guys got to give her a reason. And you may be the rock right now. She may be struggling right now. And things may be hard. When a person is emotionally spent and down because of their emotions, this thing gets that out. Honestly, hug. And your wife may be going through some stuff, but she wants to be there for you. And I'm sure she would tell you the same thing. And she's probably super proud of you for holding things together. Because you with all the stuff that sounds like she's going through, You're being like the previous email. You're being the rock that she needs, and you're feeling overwhelmed. Being overwhelmed sucks. It's hard. What you need to do, your wife, and hey, I need something, and I guarantee this will change and build things up for you. Go to her and say, "Can I just get a hug?" Just do it. And I'm sure you guys are intimate with each other. You're hugging each other. You kiss each other. All the big shebang. But talk to her. Tell her how you feel. Tell her what's going on. Spend the time together. Figure things out. Because if you don't talk about it, then she doesn't know. And she may know, but she's probably trying to not step back so she does not get in your way. She's trying to do her best. Just be an easy adult and go to her. Hey, I could use a little help. I'm struggling too. And I know, and I don't want to throw this all on you because you're going through a lot. But I just need a little something. It's that simple. I think we overthink our relationships way too much. We overthink when it comes down to just communication and communicate things. We can talk, feel comfortable discussing people that we love without fear. Even if they get mad at you. Here's the thing: if you're discussing something, if you have something that's bothering you, even if the fear is they may get mad at you, and they do, you have to understand they have emotions too, and sometimes what you may tell them will be shocking. But if you can work through that, understand the feelings do matter, and just like your feelings do matter, and you validate that, and then you guys sit down and finish hashing whatever going out, you're going to be fine. So don't communicate, and you don't tell people how you feel. That's what gets screwed. I mean, there's no need to struggle when you don't have to. Go have the conversation. Go talk to her. Even if it's just a simple little hug to help lift off some of that weight off your shoulders, that will do wonders. My wife, she tries to give all our kids at least once a day. Tries to. That always happens, but tries to. She tries to give all our kids at least once a day, at least a hug. Do the study in 8 seconds. 8 seconds is amazing, and it helps a ton, and it relieves so much stress. Our bodies dump that serotonin out when when you're in a lot like that. It dumps it into your body, and it makes you feel so much better. And your life just changes within honestly just that 8 seconds. It makes it so much better throughout the day. Now, the more you do that, the better you are. Go try it out. It'll be okay. All right. Hey, I've been struggling with depression for a while. Every time I'm out and I second guess myself. There's this voice inside my head telling me, man up and handle it on your own. And I worry that if I admit it, if I admit that I need therapy or medication, people will think I'm weak. I know I shouldn't think this way, but it's hard to shake off the stigma from it, especially for men. Why is it so hard for men to admit we need help with our mental health? How do I take the first step of fighting masculinity that's been drilled into me for my whole life? Mental health is important. Okay. So men typically don't talk about mental health. Men typically don't talk about the things, how they struggle. And part of that is because we feel like that we're going to be weak. Two, if we talk about it to our girlfriends or anyone, that will be weaponized against us. That is like a real truth. We never acknowledge we have struggles. Men have more struggle than women do, but the difference is we bottle it up. Now, depression is a thing, and sometimes you do need therapy, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you need medication, sometimes you don't. First thing I would do when it comes, let's look at it from the physical side of your body, right? Mental, if you're struggling and hurting bad, you will tell the toll. Now, also understand, like when time I can tell you, I am not looking forward to the winter blues. The winter, but it kicks in. Winter time is probably one of the worst things I've dealt with. And it's not like we're in a Fargo, North Dakota, where people off themselves because it's so depressing and it's so cold all the time. It does get cold here. Winter does drag on. It does get hard. But what you got to do, what I do, and this is important, start with yourself physically first, then you work your way out through the mental stuff because it's a problem solver. Men problem solvers, we always have been, always will be. We want to make sure that so my problem solver for you is simple. Make sure you can play make sure you're exercising. Make sure you eat correctly. And I'm not talking about, I drink water lunch, but then I drink beer, sodas, and all that stuff all the time. Do the things that you need to be doing that'll make you healthy, right? If you're not exercising, you're not releasing exercise. If they did a study, which I know there has been studies, but they're not putting the studies out there. If they actually showed and released all the studies about how exercise helps you mentally and it helps you physically, it takes you off the medications, I'm telling you, you'd feel better. Now, let's get to the nut holes of this thing. You're struggling with depression for a while. You're afraid to talk to somebody. You need to talk to somebody, okay? And I'll probably tell you the same stuff I'm telling you right now, but that's irrelevant. You need to talk to somebody. Now, if it's a therapist, that's awesome. If it's someone that you truly trust, that's awesome too. But you need to get things out. You need to talk about it. Don't feel like you're lesser of a man. Actually, if anything, you're doing the worst thing you can for yourself, and you're not being masculine. Because being masculine doesn't mean you don't talk about things. Doesn't mean you don't have problems. It's a problem. Do that thing and take that step and be strong. Because being masculine means you are going to be strong, and you're that protector. You're that person who's going to help do all these things. And if you're not right mentally, and you're not right, because you got depression, you can't be effective. You can't help anyone if you're struggling. So you have to be 100%. You have to get what you got to get so you can be effective. We got hurricanes happening in Florida. Many people are struggling mentally with that whole deal that needed to have help. If you can't get your mind straight, say you're a first responder, how are you going to be able to be effective with that? You're going to miss things. People can die. So just do the man thing. Be masculine and get yourself some help. Find someone to talk to. If you need suggestions, you can email me. Let me know where you are, and I will find people locally that can help you, that will talk to you. If you've been in the military, our military people, gosh, you guys need to talk to people. It's important. Mental health is a big deal. When it comes to any of the problems that we've had in society, from mass shootings to whatever, it's all a mental health thing. Because the medications that they're on comes down to nothing they talk to somebody. So we got to be there for each other. And I'm telling you, you need some help. You're admitting it right here. So it's a question, why is it hard for men to admit it? Well, we talk about that. Men struggle because we don't want to be weaponized against us. Okay. So find someone that you can trust. Find a licensed therapist, whatever. Because if you're broken, how can you expect to fix things? If you're broken, how can you help others? You got to do what's right for yourself before you can start doing what's right for other people. You can't. If you're driving a car and you need to go somewhere and your car's broken down and you can't fix the car, there's nothing you can do. You're going to be just stuck. You have to do what's right for you and yourself first, so you can be effective for those that you love and those that are around you. As well as that. And the right thing is always going to be the right thing. You can do it. Yep. Okay. Devin, I'm a lesbian, and I've got something that's been bothering me for a while. Can't straight women please stop calling their friends girlfriends? I know it's meant in a casual friendly way, but for those of us who are actually in relationships with other women, it can be really confusing and frustrating. Every time I mention my girlfriend, I feel like I have to clarify that I'm talking about my partner, not just a close friend. It's hard enough for people to take lesbian relationships seriously without this adding a layer of confusion. I've had people discuss my relationship and assume it's not real because they think I'm just talking about my best friend. And when straight women constantly refer to their female friend, it makes it even harder to or normalize what I mean. I get the girlfriend term of endearment for a lot of, but it's kind of frustrating when I'm trying to talk about my actual relationship and people seriously. It's too much to ask for a little sensitivity around this. Yes, it is. Here, and I'm going to say that. And I mean that as nicely and as nicely as possible as anything else. Don't need a lot of women to know friends. There's nothing wrong with that. And I will tell you, people know they're in a relationship. Won't they not ship the right way? Simple as that. It's just words. It's the way things are said. It's kind of like people trying to force the whole, pronouns crap. You're not entitled to owning words. You can't. It's impossible. It is the way sentence structures are done. It's how language is made up. It is what it is. I do not own a pronoun. You can't own the term girlfriend for that reason. Seriously. I mean, so if you're so caught up in just a word, don't you think that that's kind of the norm you really have? If you're so focused on trying to correct things in the way, all that wasted time that you could be spending proving that you're in a relationship. If you say people don't know, then prove it in a different way. It's harder to change a whole population vocabulary than it is to adjusters. I mean, that's the point. I mean, the reality is, words do have meanings. And if I'm in a relationship with somebody, which I am, obviously I'm married, but I told them it's my wife. When my wife was my girlfriend, this is my girlfriend. And if people didn't take it the right way, or they didn't believe I was in a relationship, they've got the problem.